Phew. Look, if I'm completely honest, I've been quite annoyed to the last hour, because I have recorded almost 4 videos by now on certain topics, and for very different reasons, they were just not saving. It was very annoying. But I still wanted to start this video by saying massive thank you to those 4 people who have not just watched, but also subscribed and liked the previous video. Massively big deal, and I really appreciate it. It really made my weekend. And I'm not even sure where to start now, because I feel about the topics that I wanted to cover before I said so much that I don't really want to go through those points again. Maybe I'll just do a quick recap, just in case. The first video was about the two ideas that I wanted to connect together in one video. The idea that it's better to be a poor master than a rich slave. And the second idea was that it's very important to do as much job as we can to try to listen to ourselves closely, but also remember that everything is always all right, and that we need to kind of be gentle with ourselves, with forgiving ourselves, even though we should try to do as best as we can. Ultimately, to remember that it's all good, and it's all fine. It's all fine. Just quickly saying the connection with the idea of a rich master, a rich slave and a poor master was that it feels to me like the energy, the inspiration, the creativity that we can find in us, the personal truth, as I personally sometimes refer to this, and I also see other people use this phrasing. This is almost, I see as the master. It is the source of energy, it's self-replenishing, it's self-reliant, and it's great. And rich slave is sometimes I see as the logical part of us, the ones that knows everything, that is very, like, it knows a lot of things that it needs to do, that can win a lot of points by checking a lot of boxes with the external world, so it can seem very rich on the outside, but it's ultimately not as fulfilled or as happy as a poor master, which is the part of us that is responsible for finding, trusting, connecting with the energy and inspiration within us. In the second video, I spoke about the fact that this process of finding the truth is never really ending. It's infinite, and the truth, the personal truth, it keeps changing location. Just like wind or nature, sometimes it's overly clear and it's overly abundant, and it's obvious where the wind is blowing because the wind goes through the leaves of the trees and you can see the path that the wind is directing itself clearly. Sometimes as you can feel a lot of inspiration towards certain things or situations or connections, and sometimes it's just very quiet. You don't see any wind, just like in London a couple of days ago. Or in personal relationships or in inspirations. The third video was about the annoyance that the logical part of us sometimes has when it has to bear the fact that listening to yourself, listening to your inspiration, listening to your direction is very often reasonless. It's not rational. That it doesn't that following your own spark that is being observed by you in your own self in this specific second, that this is not logical and not reasonable, and how difficult it is to do, and how impossible it is for the logical part of us to accept that this needs to be done for us to be able to feel fulfilled about ourselves. The fourth video was about the fact that those small points and sparks of inspiration are almost like the children of both us and the universe. It's children because the inspiration doesn't only come from us, it comes from our process of interacting with the world, with seeing new things, with being inspired or receiving new information, receiving new experiences. And as they're processed in us, then something new is created. And it's almost as if we are co-parenting the children of inspiration with the universe. Man, I really fucking hope that this video survives, because I like that phrase a lot. I like that phrase a lot. What did I want to say? And the fact that we show ourselves as the parent to those sparks of inspiration in us by creating, first of all, an ability to pay attention to ourselves when those sparks get born, which is like process of birth. Then we create some small space in ourselves, like a container and time in our life, to hear those sparks and those moments of inspiration. And we are taking the role of the caretaker who owns this small space and allows it to grow a little bit. And sometimes we have a lot of space and a lot of time to do that, but sometimes we have none. And that's what the first video was really about. It's about the fact that I should try to do as much of this as I can. But if I ultimately can't dedicate a lot, little, or any time to this process today, it's ultimately also fine. I'm just gonna quickly check that this video is still recording. And it does. And it does. I'm so happy. So happy. I really hope it doesn't die. And I guess what I want to talk about now in this fifth video on this topic, man, it's fucking crazy though, is the acceptance of losing some of those parts of us. When I was talking before about video 4 and us being parents of the creative acts, being co-parents of creative acts with the universe, after creation of space for the spark to develop into something, like for example, creating a creative project, or spending time with a certain person, or perhaps pursuing some other small interest. Honestly, sometimes the spark in me can just tell me, go buy yourself like a Snickers bar and go enjoy your time in the park. It's not really that complex. Like I love using complicated language and complicated metaphors for this, but ultimately it can be very, very simple things. Just the ones that bring you most energy in this moment and feel most true to you right now. After we give them space, they can grow further, and we can continue to be the caretakers of this part of us. And I wanted to mention how important it is that the trust that grows in us with regards to our own ability to dedicate this time, to create this trust, to build this space for these sparks that arise in our own selves in reaction to different new things that we experience, that it brings us the amount of fulfillment that no completed to-do list that is driven by the value system of logic can ever bring us to. So this fulfillment from the following of this internal inspiration is ultimately more satisfying than the completion of the cold, unrelated to-do list. I also think it's important to remember that they are two parts of the same coin. The inspiration and the master, and the logic as a potential as a slave, not necessarily have to hold to this distinction though, but they are changing themselves. Like you have an inspiration right now because you have constrained yourself for an hour a day to listen to yourself. Both inspiration and logic coexist. Then as you have found something that you want to do, you're trying to find some time and resource to execute it. Logic helps you. Then logic creates a space for you to be in it. In this new space, you take the next step to take care of your inspiration. For example, you come up with a certain idea, like you want to go buy a Snickers bar, or you want to go create a creative project, or you want to go call a certain person. Logic helps you to find the number, figure out the time, figure out the price of the Snickers bar, figure out the apps that are needed to create a certain app. Then you come back into the creative space. The other side of the coin is activated again as you start creating, start coming back to this internal pit, but pit in the best way. The place, the core of your being, the core of your center from which the energy comes and the inspiration comes. And these things, the inspiration and the logic, they serve one another. I'm just quickly gonna check that the video is still recording. I'm so surprised, it's still recording. I cannot really believe it. I thought it would not record because the last part I want to talk about this in this final video. This is what I didn't mention in my previous videos 1, 2, 3, 4 over the last hour, is sometimes we need to allow ourselves to lose those sparks of inspiration. Let them go, and sometimes be courageous enough to let them die. For me, this is like literally the example, right? I was trying to record those 4 videos, speaking through those topics, didn't happen. Every time I was trying to give as much space and time to the new spark that was happening, things just happened in a way that they were not able to survive in the way how I intended. Dedicating time to grieve about this and being okay about this ultimately, I think, is also very important. So I think this video is like a 5 chapter in one. Chapter of one cycle, from noticing to creating space for growth, to the peak of this creative act, to the consequences it takes, but the ultimate decay and letting go of this project and perhaps finding a new one. That's it. I hope this video survives because I really connect strongly with those thoughts, and I've been thinking about this a lot, as you can probably see, over the last couple of months. If you have any thoughts about the pursuit of your personal truth, the ever-changing location of it, the difficulty of accepting this ideological part, the metaphor of being co-owners of this process with the universe, and the difficulty of accepting those processes die. If you have any thoughts about this, I'd be very curious to hear them, because for me those are very hot topics at the moment also. Thanks a lot for your time, and I'll see you soon.